song's called Ebb and Flow.
There are lies I never knew. There are songs I never understood that are written trying to force my hand to start a fire in a jagged line. We were roaring in the gospel truth, and I've been trying, I might not bad for good. Give up hope of a better past. Forget the lyrics, come on, just let it pass. Never try to find your hope in another's eyes. Never try to find your trouble, you bet that trouble will find you. And I'll never stop you singing, everything will be alright. Oh, but what's wrong with today? You know we're only roaring in the ebb and flow. Oh, there is more and there is more beside. Love and peace becomes your battle cry. You and I, you know one day will die, but I only want to see your smile. We're roaring in the gospel of truth, and I've been trying to mind that bad for good. Give up hope of a better past. Come on, forgive yourself, darling, come on, just let it pass. Never try to find your hope in another's eyes. Never try to find your trouble, you bet that trouble will find you. And I'll never stop you singing, darling, everything will be alright. Oh, but what's wrong with me? You know we're only rolling in the ebb and flow. Come on, lads. Trouble will find you, and I'll never stop you saying no. Everything will be alright. Oh, what's wrong with me? You know we're only rolling the ebb and flow. Well, what's wrong with me? You know we're only rolling the ebb and flow. Well, what's wrong with right now? You know we're only rolling in the ebb and flow.
Superb. Blue Rose Code live in the studio here at LSFM. A track there called Ebb and Flow, which of course is on the award-winning album The Water of Leith. Okay, so Ross, spoke a wee bit about the country there. You're from Edinburgh originally, but you spent a long time in England, a long time in London. Yeah. What was your experience in London as a place to develop as a musician?
Well, I love it. I love London. You know, it's I've heard it compared to opera. You know, you either love it or hate it. And you know, I moved to London with a whole swarm of Scots. You know, we went down, and most of my pals were picked off and returned home with their tails between their legs. But it smashed me a bit. So it absolutely broke me to pieces and rendered me in her own image. You know, London totally changed me as a person, and I kind of needed that, really. You know, I was, you know, I grew up in an environment where, you know, I really suffered with a poverty of aspiration. I didn't know that I had choices to make, and you know, I was raised by my grandmother, and when she died, I kind of looked around and saw, you know, I was sitting in a flat, you know, drinking and doing other things, and I had no hope. I was completely devoid of hope, and I had to escape. I ran away to London and tried to make it as a musician, you know, with not a great deal of success to begin with, and it turned me around and allowed me to be who I wanted to be, and gave me a kind of courage of my convictions, and gave me a chance to change, really, to be a better man. And you know, I will always look fondly on London because I'm really a proper jockney. That's who I am.
You seem to be a natural collaborator. You almost have got a project style to your music. You involve loads of people. And did you experience that kind of inclusive approach yourself from others when you were trying to make it?
What I would say is that I grew up listening to a lot of kind of 60s and 70s records. So, it was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and Jimi Hendrix and The Doors and Floyd and Joni Mitchell, and what I would always look on the, I'd be looking around on the liner notes of the albums to see who was on what and who was doing backing vocals on which song, and I always grew up. I kind of fostered this hope to be reaching out. And the other thing as well, I say this a lot, but I grew up loving jazz, but not having the patience or persistence to learn to be a sufficiently adept player as a jazzer. So as soon as I could afford to, I got people involved that were better musicians than me, because it really drags up the level of the music. What I am first and foremost is a singer and a songwriter, but I feed off other people's, I buzz off other people's talent. It's I really enjoy getting people along, and nothing is set in stone. Each gig is a different experience, and you can only get that if you surround yourself with great musicians.
Okay. Now you're often compared to Van Morrison, John Martin, but I've heard you speak about the influence of Iron and Wine. Have you ever met Sam Beam?
I never met him. He seems like a lovely man. I went to see him at the Barbican about 4 or 5 years ago. He had a big 14-piece band, and it was dreadful. And then I went to see him about 6 months later, and it was just him and his acoustic guitar at the Hackney Empire, and it was one of the most beautiful nights, one of the most beautiful concerts I've ever seen. But his new album, I kind of took my eye a bit off his career trajectory for the last couple of albums, because it's not been to my taste. But I've listened to the most recent album, and it feels like he's back on track. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Good. Okay. Good to hear. Okay. We're good for another song.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, as it's St Andrew's Day, a happy St Andrew's Day to the listenership. I think we're gonna play a Davy Steele song for you. I did a couple of years back. We did a couple of sellout shows at the Edinburgh Fringe, and because I grew up in the middle of Edinburgh with no culture or tradition of traditional music with that capital T. My family weren't into it. I just had no knowledge of what folk music was, what real kind of Scots and Irish classic, traditional music was, and I set myself to the task of learning some songs, and I put it out on Facebook and asked people to recommend songs, and me and Lyle and Angus Lyon and Ross Ainsley and Jarlath Henderson all did this beautiful show where I kind of found these songs and we did our own arrangements and put them together. But the most beautiful discovery of that project came with Davy Steele's music. I never had the chance to meet Davy, who I understand was a social worker actually before he became a musician. Really bright man, everything that I've heard about him, a beautiful man. But his voice, as soon as I heard his voice, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and he truly was, a beautiful and sincere singer. It's extraordinary. Anyway, that's a very long introduction to Davy Steele's song "Scotland Yet."
Give you a thought for what we hate, and this land old and new. Well, our Highland glen and the Doric stream, and a fertile lowland field, where they seem to offer different views when looked out from within. And strangers be the only eyes to see us all as in. Where mother tongue spoke different ways for the past to present time. each separate but yet entwined. You know, that's where our real strength lies. And should one strand unwind itself for the others to forsake, then all would be forever lost, for all those strands would break. And the chance will be upon us soon to set our destiny, and we'll drink a toast to Scotland, yeah, whatever it may be, while we still seek to blame our woes and our pains on someone else. Well, we'll never have the strength to solve all of our problems for ourselves. And in truth we fought each other mere. Would you learn this from our past? And then together we can choose, well, we can choose for ourselves at last. And a chance will be upon us soon to set our destiny, and we'll drink a toast to Scotland, yeah, whatever it may be. And a chance will be upon us soon to set our destiny, and we'll drink a toast to Scotland, yeah, whatever it may be. Well, I'll drink a toast to Scotland, yeah, whatever it may be.
Wow. What's the name of the song?
Scotland Yet.
Scotland Yet.
Some song, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah. If people are wanting to investigate Davy Steele, what would you recommend?
If Davy Steele's estate are listening, they need to get their fingers out of the proverbial and get it all sorted out, because there's not a great deal available on iTunes. So the truth is, I don't know what the answer is. I guess there's CDs available online, but it all needs to be online and digitally available.
Yeah. Okay. So I've spoken about the Water of Leith being nominated for the award, or not nominated, winning the award, Scottish Album of the Year.
Scottish musician, Ross Wilson.
Wow.
Mate, I've never even won a raffle before, so
yeah.
I'm sick of. It's funny, I had this whole campaign where I was just saying, I'm sick of musicians talking about how they don't believe in awards, and it's all about, it's sort of taking part and it counts, and it's all rubbish. They all want to win. They're all desperate to win, and I won. So I'm here to tell you that I'm delighted, and that's okay.
Now the album's a fascinating listen. Loads of collaborations, different stuff. And what caught my interest was the rendition of the Edwin Morgan poem "Strawberries." I think was it the last album you had Norman McCaig's a reworking of True Ways of Knowing.
True Ways of Knowing.
Yeah. So you've clearly got an interest in what Scottish Renaissance poetry, is that?
Well, exactly. Yeah. And how for a boy that was thrown out of school at 15, it took me a while to understand that this great poetry and literature and art of our great country is available to me. What I realised is that I'd kind of excluded myself from that. But I think I did some work with this brilliant grant making trust called the Saltire Society in Edinburgh. They do all sorts of great work, and in the Scottish National Portrait Gallery hangs this Alexander Moffat painting, which is called the Poets Pub, and it's this imagining of the time of the Scottish Literary Renaissance, they would all congregate in this boozer in Rose Street in Edinburgh, and it's 9 of them standing around Hugh McDermott, and a project which is on the back burner but still very much alive and supported by the Saltire Society is I'm going to take a poem from each of those poets that feature in the painting and put into music. Yeah, so that's what the Norman McCaig one was first, and Edwin Morgan, I've got a Hugh McDermott poem called Scotland, which we'll be performing tonight, that I put to music. The Edwin Morgan one, it's a lovely story actually, because the song that features on is Polaris, it's called, and my partner, who, you know, she's just given birth to our first child, when we were first getting together, we're talking, you know, we're both lovers of poetry, and I told her, I sent her Strawberries, the poem, and she recorded it and sent it to me, and at the time had no idea that in the end that I would edit it up and put it into the song. So and it's just a lovely touch, you know. Laura features on the record, and the result of our getting together was you know, arrived 3 days ago. She's our little strawberry.
How do you pronounce the name?
Naima. Naima, her name is Naima Bloom, and and Naima is a John Coltrane song, and it means, it's Arabic for contentedness. Bloom comes from probably my favourite book, Ulysses, the James Joyce book, because Naima was conceived in Dublin, and the book's set in Dublin, but it's lucky she wasn't a boy, because we were going to call him Ulysses Coltrane. So Naima Bloom's nicer.
Okay, now your last album, Ballads of Peckham Rye's got a song on it which I love called Edina. You seem to apologise to your home city of Edinburgh. Yeah. What was that emotion about?
Well, you know, I kind of ran away with not a lot of love in my heart, and you know, I with a finger pointing firmly away from me. What I realised as I get older is that you know, I was responsible for most of the trouble in my life, and I think it's just about personal agency. You know, I realise now that my moving home started with the writing of that song, and the apology was, you know, it was macro and micro. It was to the people in my life, and to the city of my birth, that, you know, in a more broader sense, just because, you know, it's me. You know, if I'm not the root of the problem, then I have no chance to change it. You know, and I realise that I am the root of the problem. You know, so I get the chance to change it today.
Yeah. Okay. It's a great song. Okay, a couple of quick ones. Firstly, settle an argument. The name Blue Rose Code, is it linked to Twin Peaks or not?
It is. Absolutely.
Massive conspiracy theories across the islands about this.
No, it absolutely is. And who knew that? Funnily enough, I don't know if you watched Twin Peaks, but
I watched it first. I haven't watched the new stuff.
Well, the new one, the whole concept of the Blue Rose Code, or the Blue Rose, is absolutely pivotal to the new series, and so it looks like I'm a Johnny Come Lately, but I'm not. I was obsessed with Twin Peaks when I was a wee laddie, totally obsessed with it. And any avid Twin Peaks lovers that haven't yet seen the new series, you got to see it, because it does not disappoint. It's absolutely mesmerising.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. And yeah, lastly, favourite Hibs player?
Gosh, current or
on the spot, all time?
All time. Oh. It's impossible to say, because
there's so many.
I'll tell you who I loved. I tell you who I absolutely loved Tony Rougier. You know, and he was never the best. He was a lazy streak of something, but when he fancied it, he was brilliant. And that's when I had a season ticket. And growing up, Frank Soze as well. You know, John McGinn at the moment.
Do you still get to games?
Yeah. I mean, since moving back, I've been to lots.
Good team just now.
A brilliant team at the moment. It's been a pleasure, and I've totally changed my mind about Neil Lerner. Totally changed my mind. Happy to have the big man at the helm. Yeah. Okay,
Tony Rougier, I like that. That's a good answer. I wasn't predicting that.
No, well, I bet you were. Yeah. He just had this Caribbean sort of, because he's from Trinidad, wasn't he? And he just had this Caribbean demeanour, where when he fancied it, he was amazing, but when he didn't fancy it, you know, he was he was maddening. But you gotta love that kind of.
It's kind of the hip stereotype, isn't it, to a certain extent?
Well, it is. Also, just saying it, actually, it kind of reminds me of Mesut Ozil as well, my English team.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you're going to play a last song for us?
Yeah, we're going to see you out with a song from the new record, Scottish from the Scottish album of the year. This is the War of the. This is called it's called Bluebell.
Babe, I know that these are hard times, they are hard times, but I still hold you in my heart. And I've been holding on so long now, so long, my darling. I still hold you in my heart. And I heard that he is a good man and he loves you, but I still hold you in my heart. You know there's a fire burning brightly, oh so brightly, but I still hold you in my heart. Count them all, the times that I was a fool. No, I was so careless with your love. Count them all, the times they come and go, but I was so careless with your love. And I know you say you're only skin and bones, but I remember so much more. Babe, I know that these are hard times, they are hard times. I still hold you in my heart. You see that I would not let you love me, and that I could not, but I still hold you in my heart. Count them all, the times that I was a fool. Oh, I was so careless with your love. Count them all, years they come and go, but I was so careless. And I know you say you're only skin and bones, but I remember. I remember. Oh, do you remember how we were? 'Cause I remember so much more. Count them all, the years they come and go. Oh, I was so careless with your love. Count them all, the years they come and go. Oh, but I was so. And I know you say you're only skin and bones, but I remember so much more. I remember.
Great stuff, thanks for that.
Thanks for listening, brother.
So, the gig tonight's at Atlanta. You've not
It is.
played there before, is that a new one?
We played there about a year ago, actually.
Played a year ago.
We'll be back, yeah.
Okay, there we go. Timings for tonight?
So we've got It's a good question that I'm not exactly sure the answer to. I'm guessing the doors are 7 o'clock.
Doors are 7:30.
Doors are 7:30, and then we've got the guy the chap that plays keys with us, Tuesday Lucas, is doing a wee support slot, and then we're on after him. So you really must come. It's going to be great crack.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for coming in. Please come again.
I would love to.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Yeah. Okay.
All the
Cheers.
best.